Hi, so what I'm going to be doing today is installing a French door. So this video is one of a few. I've got one where I'm changing some of the casement windows, another one where I'm putting a bay window in, another one where I'm putting this French door in. And like I said, it's the French doors this particular video. So if you're interested in casement windows, which also includes a bit of a lintel that I wasn't expecting to have to put in, bay windows, have a look at all of the videos, and depending on when you're watching this, they should be up, but they will all be going on, just down to time I get to edit them. So in this particular video anyway, I'm going to check this window out, I'm going to take this brickwork out underneath, and then put a patio door in here. So I'll show you the inside. I've got a stone cutting saw, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm just going to cut down either side. I'm going to put a bit of guard there, so I've got something to follow. Cut down either side, then take it up, then just take the brickwork out, put the frame in, go from there. I'll show you the inside. This is just a look from the inside, just so you can see before we start. I've actually already, as you can see, I've already took the inside leaf of bricks off. I cut them with an angle grinder at either side, and then tapped them out. The angle grinder wasn't quite wide enough to go through the brick, so I've since bought another saw. Well, I was going to hire a still saw from, there's a few places that hire them, but basically the price of hiring it for a couple of days would be the price of buying like a one from Screwfix or wherever. So I've bought a stone cutting saw, and I'll show you that when I get it out of the box. Because I have got some other jobs where I need to cut brickwork out coming out over the next year and that, so definitely by the time I've done this job and then done that job, and then later on next year we'll be doing the garden, so we'll be cutting paving slabs and stuff like that. So by the time I'd done all that, it was just more cost effective to buy one. So that's the opening. That there's actually the frame. You can see the frame there, and that's the doors there. So I've had a quick measure of the frame, and it is the right size. So I'm hoping 2 or 3 hours this morning, just cutting the brickwork, taking it out, taking the window out, and then hopefully fit the frame after that, and hopefully shouldn't be too bad of a job, but let's see. So I'm about to cut the brickwork. What I've done up to now is I've put a guideline on top, used my big spirit level, put a pencil mark down the marks I want to follow either side. I've then got a squarish bit of wood, fixed it, and fixed it. I'm then going to take my disc cutter, and I should just be able to run down along the edge of the wood at either side, and that should keep me fairly square. Once I get it sort of cut in a little bit, I'll then look at moving the wood and sort of finish it off all the way. That should be nicely on that same edge there. This is a disc cutter I'm using. So, I think it's got 150mm cut on it. It's a 300mm disc. The Evolution one, this one. I got it from an online tool store. It was somewhere based in Northallerton actually, I think. But it was online. It comes with a 2 or 3 year guarantee, and like I say, I've got several jobs in the house to do. And it was cheaper than if you hire a still saw more than about a week. It worked out cheaper just buying this. And like I said, it's got a couple of year guarantee, so hopefully it will do the jobs I need it to do. So I'm going to put my mask on, ear defenders and dust mask, and then as I'm cutting down, I'll get Alicia to spray a bit of water just to keep the dust down, and then we'll go from there. Once it's cut down, I'll then strip the window out. I wanted to do the cutting before I took the window out, just to keep the dust going at the house to a minimum. Just because it's quite loud, but you can see there, just using the circular saw and cutting down the brickwork, just doing it a little bit at a time, letting the dust settle. And Alicia's spraying water on it. That blade will go through one full brick, and then there we are at the other side. And that just means it looks nice and neat along the edge of the window when we're all done. So it's a good value that, so I'm pleased with it. So as you can see, I've got the 2 cuts done. Literally took a couple of minutes there, so spot on that tool. We'll see how it goes over the coming months, but I'm pleased with it to now. So what I'm going to do now is have a quick hose down just to get rid of all the muck, get it damp and then sweep it into a corner. And we'll have a cup of tea just to let it settle, and then we'll look at taking the window frame out. Let's get cracking. Start stripping the window out now, so what I'm going to do is try and get the glass out to begin with. So I'm going to take these bits of trim out because they're quite rotten anyway, and see if I can get the glass out in one piece without breaking it, just to save on the mess. And now you can see I'm just done taking the glass out. So again, glove eye protection with it being glass, but just taking the trim out and pulling the glass out. And these windows are rotten. So to be honest, it literally falls out. A couple of bits break, but it's nice and easy. But obviously if you can get it out in big pieces, it's easier taking it to the recycling sort of centre, the skip. Because I think they do recycle glass. So, but again, just take your time, nice and slowly out. And I'm sort of pushing it from the inside, and then Alicia's just collecting it from the outside. So I've got the glass out. The bits up the top came out in one. These bits broke, so a bit of a mix. But anyway, it's all going to the tip. So what I'm going to do now is take the frame out. The way I'm going to get the frame out is by cutting it with a reciprocating saw. So I'll cut basically the middle bit out, and then cut the sides and sort of prise them. So I'll get a little bit of footage of that. A bit repetitive, but I'll show you a couple of minutes. So once I've actually got the glass out, I'm now taking the frame out. So I'm trying to just keep the disturbance to the brickwork to a minimal. So I'm using a reciprocating saw. It's a McAllister one I got from Screwfix, I think. Good cheap tools really. You get a year or two's guarantee with them, so they're not very expensive. So they're ideal for stuff like this. So you can see there, I'm just taking the frame out nice and steady, and I'm not disturbing the brickwork around it. It's an arch above this window, and the door's the same size as the window, so there was no need for extra lintels or things like that. But even so, I just didn't want to disturb anything, so I think it's better to take you a little bit extra few minutes and just bashing it out, but it makes it sort of quicker on finishing off at the end, because you don't have all bits of damaged bricks to sort of contend with. So sometimes it does pay just to be a bit gentle with stripping stuff out. So now my next step is just to take the bricks out. So like I say, I've cut down either side, just hammer and chisel. Here I'm just taking the bricks out a little bit at a time. I'm trying to save the bricks to use sort of in other parts in the garden and a bit of wall I've got to repair and stuff like that. So just taking them out nice and easy, and then at some point I need to sort of clean the mortar off them as well. But they do come out quite good, and they're good solid bricks, them ones. So hopefully I've got a couple of walls and stuff. You'll probably see it in videos coming up over the next year or so. So hopefully most of the stuff like that will get recycled. Again, just making sure you've got your gloves on, because it can be quite sharp in places. And it was quite a hot day when we filmed this as well, so it's quite hot work as well. So just doing a little bit at a time. But I managed to get them all out, and you've seen the video, get them all out, the frame and the doors in a day, which is the main thing from sort of a security point of view. Just backwards and forwards with the wheelbarrow. Frame here, so I'm just going to unpack it, place it in, and just see what it's like for size. Go from there. There we are, it's roughly in place. You can see at the bottom there's no sill in, so I'm going to put the sill on next and just make sure it's alright height wise with the sill. So just a little bit of speeded up footage now with the frame. So what we're doing is, to begin with, putting the sill on. So that's just some self-tapping stainless steel screws screwed from like underneath in. And then packers at either side, sort of make sure it's square. I'm using a spirit level on the bottom, spirit level on the side, and then I'm sort of measuring diagonally from top right to bottom left, and bottom left to top right, making sure it's all square like that, packing it out, and then I'm using the self-tapping masonry screws that I've used in the other videos to secure it in. Right, so I've got the frame in. I'm just squinting a bit because the sun's coming around the back now. It's early afternoon, so nice and sunny. So anyway, we've got the frame in. I've got, at the minute I've got fixing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put another one through here, another one through here, another one through here, another one from here, a couple in the bottom, a couple in the top. Just I've run out of fixing, so Alicia's just popped a screw fixer tool station to fit some more. So got that to do. Once we've done that, we'll look at putting the doors on and getting the iron mumbry and stuff fixed on there as well. But I'll show you a close up of where we're at. To keep the gap even round the sides, I mean the original wall's miles away, so you can only do what you can do, but it's relatively even. And that'll just get filled in with a bit of silicone and a bit of trim if needs be. The view from the inside out. So once the garden's done, it's going to look really nice, but I mean the garden's not going to be getting done for another year or two, but eventually it'll probably put a little conservatory, come orangery on here, and then the nice garden after that, so that'll be more videos coming up. You can see on the inside, looks well. It is all 100% level. I've had the spirit level on it several times. It's the stuff around it that isn't. Got the packaging off the door, and what we've got is these little pins in the box. So put the pins into the borders, and then the door should just lift and sit on the 3 pins. And then if we need to do any adjustments, we can do it after that. So it's heavy, and I'm going to get Alicia to sort of stand and be there if out falls or out. Try and guide it. So we'll go. Alicia. Yeah, so we'll just hang on the door here. I've sped this up a little bit because although it's literally just hooking the door onto 3 pieces of metal, it weighs a ton. So a little bit of trial and error, but we get it on in the end. So there's both the doors on. They're both on. They do both need a little bit of adjustment. Not a million miles away, I don't think, but just to square them up a little bit. So obviously I'm having to push back to shut them now. I think it's a little bit on the hinge, so we'll do that now. Right, so I'm just going to fit the lock and handle of the door now. So I've got the key. Which just slides in the middle, probably need the key in this actually. Yep, I've got the key. And then the screw which goes in there, holds it in place, and that's just a Phillips head to tighten it off. I'm using a power drive, but I'm using it really slow. So again, not overly tighten it or anything, just so it nips up. I've got the handle pack. There's a couple of spindles in this. One's slightly shorter than the other one, it's a long one for this particular door. Put that through. Then the handles themselves, not plastic. One side has the screw holes, one doesn't. So we've got the screw holes on the inside, so any burglars can't get in. Literally push it on, holds on nicely. Take the key out. And then just making sure that the door works there, which it does. Again, screws, got a couple of different lengths. For the slightly longer ones. Just got them in hand tight there. One little thing there I've just realised I've done is I haven't took the protective film off. I've just left them loose there. Just going to pull the film off. Do the same on the other side. And I don't want to take all the film off the mix, I've still got to expand and foam around the frame, so just to avoid any issues there. And there you can see nice handles on. It's like I say, the screw holes on both of them are on the inside. And just so next I'm going to look at the hinges. So I've got the door in now. I've put the covers on the hinges and things. I have readjusted the hinge a little bit because when it was opening and closing, it wasn't quite right. So there's several forms of there's 3 forms of adjustment on the hinge. So you've got an sort of in and out adjustment, you've got an up and a down, and then you've also got like the compression, how hard you have to push the door. So on this particular door, there's a little cap there, pull it off, there's an Allen key in there, screw the Allen key, and that moves the door in and out. Under here, there's another cap, pull that cap out, that moves the door up and down. You always do the bottom one first, and then just tighten the top, so the middle and the top one up to meet that. Put this cap back in, and then in here you've got the compression, and you can basically swing it round, which moves the position of the hinge, sort of slightly brings it forward, side and side. And you can adjust that just to your own taste, just for how much force you're having to use to pull the door. So you know, see, that'll make it a real good pull if you don't want them. So I'll give you a close-up look at that. So I've put the covers on now, but like I say, you've got that plug there, you take that out, the Allen key in there, which gives you side-to-side movement. You've got a plug underneath there, that pops out, that lifts it up and down, and then you've got the one on the top, that's your compression. You can take this cover off, which makes it a little bit easier. So just this screw on the back, if you just remove this screw, this cover comes off and you can see how the mechanism works. So that's how I did it when I was levelling it up, and to be honest, I was on a good few hours trying to get it there. I don't think the door, to be honest, is the best quality. It's a Euro cell door and I wouldn't buy another one. I'm just not, like, the frame is 1000% square. I've measured it half a dozen times, and even then there's been a lot of adjustment on the door, so I'm not, the hinges maybe just a bit cheap and nasty to me. And to get it so that the chute board to go on and the keeps at the top and bottom, I've had to lift it quite a bit, so I think really, in reality, I think when the door's been put together, the frames have probably been put a little bit low. They probably should have been another 3 or 4 mil high, which might not be Eurocell, it might be the company I bought it from, which was ATT Fabrication in Bishop Auckland. I don't know if they assemble it, or if they buy them in from Eurocell, but either way, I probably wouldn't buy another door from them, and I wouldn't buy another Eurocell door. And the other thing I found with that ATT Fabrication was the communication wasn't very good. So I knew to begin with it was on a several week lead time. So I let it get to about 5 or 6 weeks. Now I rang them. I must have had to ring them half a dozen times just to, just to try and find when it would be delivered. And kept getting, oh yeah, somebody will phone you back, and then they eventually phoned me back weeks later. So I have got it. Eventually, but just like I say, the customer service wasn't the best. I wouldn't say it was the best quality door. It was about £700, so I mean, for that money I'd expect something half decent. It's definitely not the best one I've had, so in future, any others I'll be trying somewhere else. The windows I got from a company called Chatsworth Windows in North Allerton. They supplied them and I fitted, and I found they've been a lot better quality, so in hindsight I might have been, I don't know if they do patio doors, but if they do, I might have been better getting a door off them. But it's something to learn from. Hopefully this door will be fine. Now it's in, it doesn't look so bad. So my last thing is, I'm going to seal up round the sides. So the sides are just going to get expand and form. The tops, where the arch is, going to get a little bit of sand and cement above there. Just so it definitely can't get prized open or anything like that by burglars. And then it'll be getting some nice trim round it when I do the windows. So you'll see me doing the trim on this video, but in reality it'll be a couple of weeks after the door was actually put in, just to allow me chance to do other things. I've just formed up, just a little bit of foaming around the sides, and the same on the inside. I've just used this soundall gap fill. The only thing to bear in mind with the foam is you don't want anything that's going to distort the frame. So this one does say suitable for frames, so just make sure if you're getting one from Screwfix, Wix, Tool Station, wherever, you just check it's suitable for frames. I think basically you don't want something that's going to expand too much, or it needs gaps to get out like you've got here. So what I'll do is now I'll just leave this a couple of hours, and later on tonight I'll just pop out and snap it all off. Anywhere it gets on the plastic it comes off dead easy once it's dry, it literally just flakes off. When I was doing the windows, I did get some on the glass, and it's really hard to get it off the glass, so try and avoid get it on the glass if you can. Like I say, plastic's not an issue. So the final stage will be silicone up round the sides, and then trimming up round the top. But we'll be doing that soon. What I'm doing now with the French door is putting a bit of trim around the top. I'm going to do the sides, but the top's a more complicated one because it's an arch. So we've got to measure, get a sort of an outline of the arch so we know where to cut it. So what I've got here is a bit of trim. And this trim, I've cut the length from the top of the brick to where sort of the top of the trim would be. And I'm going to follow it around like a stencil, that'll be easier to show you. So this is the trim we've got. I'm holding it nice and level there. And what I've done is, this bit of trim, the highest point goes to where the top of the arch is. So the highest point of the trim is where the top of the arch is. And what I'm going to do is follow my pencil round to make an outline of that. And I'm going to do the same thing from the other side. give me a rough pencil marker where the arch is. I want to mark it on a bit thicker with a bit of marker so I can cut it, and then I'm just going to cut it out nicely with the jigsaw. And down the steps along there. So next morning now, yesterday afternoon, so back on with the trim. So as you can see, I've cut it. It's a nice arch shape. That is actually in line with the brick. So what I'll do now is I'll put some silicone on the back of it, stick it on, put the silicone on the edges. It should look really tidy once I've done that. Protect it from that. Stick it on, I'm just using the frame sealer. So as you probably might have heard in the first bit of video, the church bells start ringing, so I've just put a bit of voiceover on this and sped it up a bit, but I'm basically just sticking the trim on, some no more nails type stuff, then plenty of frame sealing around it. The arched bit was obviously where I've used my little stencil to put that on, but the bits down the side are just straight bits of trim. Got that from a local plastic company and just sticking it on. Plenty of frame seal to make it nice and watertight. What I did was put a bit of frame seal on without the trim and then put the trim on top of it and resealed it, so it should have sort of double protection in a way. And then once it's all on, a bit of UPVC cleaner and blue roll just to give it a good clean up and get any sort of excess off. But again, if you just take your time, it's a fairly neat job. You can see there with the patio door, I've now got the trim around the edge, around the tops. I've sealed it with a flexible frame sealant, and I've just given it all a good wipe down, so it's well sealed in now. So that's where I'm going to leave it. So there it is open. So there's a bit of finishing off inside, but the plastering will be a separate video again. So watch out for me skimming the inside. But the door's in. There's not really anything else to do with it now. Trim wise, I ended up putting a 25mm round the side. It was a 30mm net to cut 5mm off just to fit it in with the hinges, and then it was I think I got a 45mm at the top that I've obviously cut the arch in, and I've put like I said, I've put a flexible seal frame round it, just to keep any water out. It's obviously got the exterior expanding foam in there as well, which will keep water and drafts out, so it should be well sealed. And if needs be, I'll re-top it all up in a few months once it's nicely cured off. So like I say, in general, nice easy job, cutting the brickworks, no real issue, getting the frame in. There was a lot of faff getting it levelled up, but I think that's because it's the Uracell door, and like I've said earlier on, I wouldn't recommend getting a Uracell door. I would definitely personally get a different make if I got one in the future. But please like our videos, please subscribe, have a look across on Instagram, and like I say, depending on what order you're watching this in, there's another video where we're installing some casement windows, and there's another video when we're doing a bay window. So any bits you haven't seen on this, you might see on the other videos. Or drop us a comment, and I'll try and answer within a couple of days when I see them come up on that. Like I say, the only other thing really is the building inspector. Because I'm not fencer registered, I've done these under like a building notice. So once they're all done, the building inspector will come back out, check them, and that'll get signed off that way. So if we come to sell the house in the future, it's all sort of above board and certified that way. So like I say, thanks for watching.